Mrs. Hautala, Chairman of the Subcommittee on Human Rights.
Ashton, since our first exchange of view here in the Parliament, you have with some vigour reinstated your belief in quiet diplomacy as the way for the European Union to get our voice heard in the world. Now, how do we know that this is not just a way to evade raising important human rights issues in situations where you need to be very clear and vocal, and you know that the Parliament's tradition is to be clear and vocal when needed, because we need to address the public in our countries and in the countries where we perceive severe violations of human rights. And I'd like to test you a little bit. Would you, for instance, be willing and prepared to go and meet different kinds of human rights defenders in the countries where you visit? Representatives of different ethnic and sexual minorities, people who are in danger. Would you do that in public?
Let me explain what I meant and then answer your question directly. When I talked about quiet diplomacy, that does not mean that I am of myself necessarily very quiet. What I meant was that there are many, many occasions when talking to people without the full glare of publicity can be more effective, where giving the credit for the ideas that are generated to others can be more effective, allowing the space, in political terms, for the conclusions to be reached. I mean quiet in the sense that sometimes, and I'm not suggesting this has happened by my predecessors for one moment, but sometimes being seen across the international stage loudly doesn't get you the effect that you want. And my interest is in outcomes. My interest is in making sure that at the end we have actually achieved what we want to achieve. And you will know better than I do that across the world on human rights issues, there are different approaches that can be more effective in particular countries. And what I was trying to do was simply say that I want to differentiate the most effective approach for different countries and think through how effective we have already been and whether the strategy we are pursuing is the right one. That's what I mean. It does not mean that I would, for one moment, submit or turn away from my commitment on human rights. It's why I did all the things that I've done all my life. It's an absolute 100% commitment that I give you. The issue is really the methodology. In terms of meeting other organisations, well, the first thing I want to do is be talking to the NGOs in Europe on human rights. And again, perhaps I can look to you to help me to talk about, I know some of them very well, Liberty in the United Kingdom, for example, extremely well, but there are many, many across Europe that I want to talk to get their expertise and advice on what we might do. And of course, meeting others outside as appropriate, yes.